Happy morning. Today's topic is about artifacts. In this video lecture, we will be discussing regarding the definition, followed by the most commonly occurring artifacts, and it has been broadly divided into two entities, and followed by the description for each artifact in detail. And in later section, the artifacts that arises during autopsy have been discussed. And if an RMP makes an wrong interpretation, what are the other medical legal like implications or issues are faced by RMP have been discussed. And the content, and followed by there are some images which may be inappropriate for certain audience. First and foremost, the definition for artifact, and these are any changes caused or a feature that has been introduced in a body after death which leads to misinterpretation of the real findings. And when these findings have been misinterpreted, and what are the medical legal implications that arise of? First and foremost, it leads to a wrong cause of death or a wrong manner of death. Secondly, undue suspension of criminal offences may arise of. Thirdly, a halt in investigation. RMP is being confused, and I also confused the investigating authority, and a complete stoppage in the entire proceedings. Fourthly, unnecessary wastage of time and effort in relation to main power, as well as a result of these ultimately lead to misleading of these findings. Point number 5, all these misinterpretation ultimately leads to miscarriage of justice. And but by a regular practice, a regular exposure to these, we can able to differentiate a real existing antemortem injury or an antemortem finding, and we can able to differentiate these artifacts. And when and where there been a issue, it is better to consult a senior colleague who has already been an expertise in the field of and better to seek his advice, and we can able to solve these issues. And the classification or otherwise artifacts have been divided into two entities, and first and foremost, wherein artifacts that arises or otherwise that have been introduced between death and autopsy. And first and foremost, agonal artifacts, resuscitation artifacts arises as a result of handling of body, to be precise, rough handling of body. Artifacts arises or related to rigor mortis, artifacts related to postmortem lividity, artifacts due to burns and firearm wounds, artifacts due to invasion of insects and animal bites, artifacts due to decomposition, artifacts arises of refrigeration and embalming proceedings. And the artifacts that are occurring during the course of autopsy, first and foremost, are in blood vessels, skull fractures, visceral damages, fractures of higher bone, again more likely towards rough handling of bodies, and extravasation of blood and injuries to blood vessels. And another entity wherein a toxicological artifact which arises both in both entities, and it arises between death and autopsy, and it also occurring during the course of autopsy. And first and foremost, agonal artifact. Here, the regurgitation and the aspiration of gastric contents is the most common agonal artifact. And here, the termed entity is esophagogastromalacia, wherein it is a rare condition, a rare entity, and a process of autodigestion, wherein individual who has suffered a head injury associated with cerebral damage and who dies within hours or days may develop this finding. And first and foremost, wherein the stomach contents that have been filled within the left chest cavity as well as the left subclinic area, and where and where the affected tissues are present, they attain a grayish white to black in color and readily friable. It means that on a touch or on a slightest of force application leads to breakage or wherein it crusts into small pieces. And coming to resuscitation artifacts here, as a process of resuscitation, and an individual on his deathbed need to be resuscitated, right? And here in case if multiple injection marks wherein a junior resident or a junior doctor who try to attempt a vein and he fails to get so, and multiple attempts leads to multiple injection prick marks, and if it been most commonly on the cubital fossa region, and wherein it may be a differential diagnosis for a drug abuser. And how to differentiate a resuscitation artifact within a drug abuser is, in case of a resuscitation artifact wherein multiple attempts can lead to these injection prick marks following, and wherein other associated artifacts as a result of a resuscitation wherein a CPR has been carried out, wherein there been a breakage of ribs or the parasternal fractures may be seen, and other hands also bear this marks of injection prick marks, and where CPR marks, chest lead marks are seen over the chest, over the front surface of the chest region, and maybe unassociated intracardiac injections marks may be seen on the chest region. And if in case of a drug abuser, wherein most commonly seen on the concealed part of the bodies, and wherein multiple injection marks, and there may be a feature of a necrosis, and parchmentation may be seen, and associated features of poor general hygiene being compromised, and the individual may be emaciated, thin-built individuals, and there will be a history when we are about to inquire to a relative and other, by which these two entities can be differentiated. And secondly, injection prick marks most commonly over extremities as well as on the cardiac region. And in case of an intracardiac injections, the heart may show features of contusion, and blood may profusely be collected within the pericardium, and it may also be associated with postmortem bruises. Injuries, and here in case when a defibrillator has been applied to the chest may produce ring-shaped contusions, and superficial skin burns resembling the shape of a conductive material have been seen. Multiple impressions or anterior aspect of chest region, and especially over the left side, and underlying skeletal muscles may also show features of necrosis. And if in case an individual been about to intubated and with the usage of a laryngoscope, wherein it can causes oral injuries over the upper lip, lower lip, and as well as injuries over the oral mucosa, as well as there may be even fractures or injuries over the teeth, and followed by the soft tissues of pharynx, larynx, and may show features of contusions. External massage and vigorous resuscitation, and here in case when a vigorous resuscitation as a measure to save the life of an individual, foot has been carried in, and these are the more likely artifacts that can arise in. First and foremost, it may cause a bruising of anterior chest wall, and there may be presence of hemorrhages within subcutaneous as well as on the pectoral muscles, and it is almost symmetrical, and if it been vigorous, it can leads to parasternal fractures of several ribs, and rarely sternum can also be fractured. All these injuries are occurring during the course of resuscitation, and these are likely to be an artifact. Sternum fractures, and again, as a result of vigorous resuscitation, the sternum can be fractured and more likely to fracture in middle of the body of the sternum as well as on the manubrium part of the sternum. And here, these fractures are occurring in course of perimortem and highly difficult to differentiate perimortem injury and due to handling of body, right? Not handling, due to rough handling of body, and here in case rough handling of body, and this can be done by a relative while shifting the deceased body, and wherein a PM room attendant may be the another man who can handle, and without any intention, right? Without any intention, and without any due care. These rough handling of bodies can result in multiple injuries, and here in case fractures of rib, bones of extremities especially, and the fractures of cervical spine can also occur in. And sudden drop or a forceful intention drop upon a head, where a contusion may be seen on the occipital region, and if a deceased dead body is being dragged, it can lead to fresh abrasions on the extremities as well as where places where there have been a lack of clothing may show features of abrasions, and these abrasions are if of postmortem in nature. And one such fracture you need to remember is undertaker's fracture. It is nothing but a subluxation of a lower cervical spine due to tearing of intervertebral disc at level of C6 to C7. And a video, alright, and it is just where a deceased of COVID were been rough handled, and source obtained from NDTV YouTube page. And artifacts related to rigor mortis, and here again, due to handling of body, need not to be rough handling, just a handling of body can cause breakage of rigor at least partially or even completely. And when RMP is about to estimate the time since death by using rigor mortis, where it can mislead the time since death. And here other antemortem conditions as well as atmospheric conditions to be also kept in mind while estimating time of death. And here the onset duration may be altered. If in base on hot weather, the rigor mortis may be the onset may be rapid and the duration course will be of shorter. And if in been a cold weather, then the onset of rigor mortis is being slow, and the prolonged state, it means that the rigor mortis being sustained for a longer period. And other antemortem conditions we need to remember are, first and we need to remember wherein onset of rigor mortis is being rapid and the duration is of short. Convulsions, exercise, or there been an exertion just prior to death, or in form of struggle, or in form of resistance resistance by the victim towards an offender, where exhaustion of ATPs and others can occur in early, and exhaustion, fatigue are the other conditions wherein rigor mortis rapid onset and the duration is been in short course. And other conditions where the onset of rigor mortis is being slow and the duration or the passage or the disappearance of rigor mortis is being short. Here the conditions are an emaciated person, a weak person, and wherein the condition the rigor mortis is being absent is septicemia. The antemortem conditions you need to remember wherein rigor mortis appear early and pass away early. First and foremost, the bacterial infections, cancer, cholera, starvation, tuberculosis, and typhoid infection. And other conditions wherein rigor mortis appears late and pass away late are apoplexy, asphyxia, carbon monoxide poisoning, several severe hemorrhage, neuromuscular disorders, and pneumonia are other conditions wherein rigor mortis appear late and pass away late. And another artifact that can arise as a result of rigor mortis and the findings seen on heart, wear, and due to presence of this rigor may stimulate like a concentric uh, hypertrophy of heart, and the image what you see wherein it is a left ventricular hypertrophy. And again, this is a real existing antemortem finding, and it is not an artifact, right? And issue arises, but better you can consult a senior colleague and you can solve this issue, alright? And other artifacts that are related to postmortem lividity, wherein the color of the postmortem stain is usually bluish to purple in color, and there are some certain poisons that they may change the color of the hypostatic area. And first and foremost is cherry red discoloration can be seen in carbon monoxide poisoning, and a bright red discoloration in hydrocyanide, brown or chocolate color discoloration in nitrates, and potassium chlorate and aniline, and dark brown discoloration as a result of phosphorus poisoning. This artifact is Prinsloo Garden artifact, and it is an artifact seen in all types of autopsy, and it represents a hemorrhage which is present on the anterior aspect of cervical spine, posterior to trachea and esophagus, and which is happening due to hypostasis. And a caution must be present, and while interpreting the bleeding into posterior neck structures. And other artifacts that are more likely to occur during the course of refrigeration, and where there has been a time delay or otherwise a disease has been received after 6 in the evening, wherein it has been kept in refrigeration, and autopsy carried on the next day morning as a result of keeping a deceased in a refrigeration, wherein pink hypostasis is seen on the body, and usually kept when it has been kept in cold storage. And especially in infants, there will be a solidity of the subcutaneous fat, and which may produce like a prominent creases, and if does happen, it is a normal skin fold actually, and which may also mimic like a strangulation mark. And we need to differentiate a contusions from postmortem lividity. And here in case a table column to differentiate, and first and foremost is the causes, where in case of a postmortem lividity it occurs due to distension of our vessels within a blood in dermis. And if we take contusion, it occurs due to rupture of vessels which may be superficial or deep, and site more extensive on the dependent parts, and the contusion can occur in anywhere. And regarding the appearance, there is no any obvious elevation, and a contusion may show features of swelling. And if you take the epidermis, in case of a postmortem lividity, it is not been abraded, and in case of a contusion, it may be abraded. And the mixture of red contusion abraded or an abraded contusion, whichever been prominent, the word terminologies have been used. And regarding the margin, in case of a postmortem lividity, it is clearly defined. In case of a contusion, it merges with the adjacent area or the surrounding area. And regarding the color, in case of a postmortem lividity, it is bluish purple in color, and in case of a contusion, based on the age of the injury, it takes a red to black in color based on the age of the wound. And how to interrupt by doing an incision, and a suspected area with an adjacent area being involved. And if in case if it has been a postmortem lividity, it can be easily washed away, and subcutaneous tissues are in pale in color. And if it been a real contusion, it can't be washed away by a gentle stream of water, subcutaneous tissues also take up a deep reddish black discoloration and affect sound pressure, where if there have been a pressure that has been existing, those areas will not show postmortem lividity, and in case of a contusion, it may be lighter enough, or otherwise there is nothing significant. And regarding artifacts due to burns, and first and foremost is heat ruptures, and heat ruptures may resemble a lacerated or an incised wound. Secondly, heat hematomas may stimulate like an extradural hemorrhage. And thirdly, fat droplets may be seen in a pulmonary vasculature, which should not be mistaken for an antemortem or an antemortem pulmonary fat embolism. All right, and we don't make a finding of embolism in a case of a burn, and if a presence of fat droplet may lead to, but it is an artifact that have been arising due to burns, and we need to differentiate heat ruptures and heat hematoma, right? And if in case of a heat rupture, it mimic like a lacerated or an incised wound here, and by these pictures we need to differentiate heat splits, and the image what you see is heat splits or otherwise heat ruptures, and here and ways these can occur in anywhere, and especially it is more seen on the fleshy parts of the body, and they are usually superficial, and they may vary from centimeters in length, and they may resemble like a lacerated or an incised wound. And first and foremost, the base of the injury may be pale, and or otherwise there will be absence of bleeding due to the presence of heat, and which coagulates the blood vasculature. And secondly, we can able to make out intact vessels, nerves on the floor. If it been a lacerated injury, we can able to see an injury on the external surface, as well as associated underlying structures of the skin region will also bear the injury, and whether based on the type of the weapon that has been used, the underlying structures may be torn. And again, in case of an incised wound, same a sharp injuries, the margins would be irregular like this, and the underlying structures, nerves, blood vessels will show a clear cut. And again, it is an artifact because there is no any signs of vital reaction on the margin. Regarding stitch fractures or heat fractures, wherein or other terms like thermal fractures, where it arises due to contractions of muscles on the nearby structures, wherein the contents of the fractures will not show any features of vital reaction, by which we can able to differentiate, and other associated body findings at a remaining body part will suggestive of burns, and again it is an artifact. And in case of an again air ruptures have been seen almost looking like a lacerated injury. And in case of a heat hematoma, and we need to differentiate an epidural hematoma as a result of blunt force. And if in case of an epidural hematoma that arises often of burns, wherein the distribution will be of diffuse, and associated postmortem fractures of skull may be seen, and presence of carboxyhemoglobin is being seen, and usually bilateral in nature. And in case of an epidural hematoma arising as a result of blunt weapon, and the distribution is being localized, and the resultant force is as a result of a blunt force, there more likely to be an associated fractures over temporal bone, and the CNS frequently being injured, and there is absence of carboxyhemoglobin, and by which we can able to differentiate these artifacts that are arising due to burns from a real antemortem findings. And other causes or other artifacts that can more likely to occur in case of burns and other conditions. And first and foremost, where an unburnt a groove around a neck may stimulate like an strangulation mark, and here it is arising due to tightness of the cloth, which has prevented that area from the burn. And Here what you see, it is a true ligature mark, and there are some other conditions wherein pseudo-grooving may be seen in individuals with short neck and decomposed deceased with a tiny collars around, and if a mala or a necklace around a neck may stimulate like a ligature mark. Firearm wound, drainage wound may be mistaken for a firearm wound, and here in case we have come across one such line from a anesthetic and operative death chapter, wherein the devices that have been used, especially IV cannulas, catheters, drainage tubes and other, as well as intubation tubes, to be left in situ, and if those have been removed while to carry out a procedure like handovering a deceased for a post-mortem examination, if these have been removed, especially if drainage tubes have been removed from the site, and it may mimic or it may be mistaken for a firearm wound. And how to differentiate a firearm wound from a drainage wound? And firearm wounds, there are different ranges, right? Contact, close contact, distance, intermediate, and these ranges, and there will be presence of blackening, tattooing around the entry wound, and those are absent in drainage wounds. And drainage wounds are as a result of a therapeutic procedure, and nearby you can able to see a scar mark or on a sutured injured part, which is by which a drainage wound can be differentiated from a firearm wound. And if in case it could be in a close contact or on a contact shot, wherein these blackenings, tattooings and those will be absent because those have been present within the wound defect, and wherein an issue arises. But by referring a treatment papers and asking the investigating officer and the treating physicians, whoever, we can able to differentiate a drainage wound from a firearm wound. And second issue arises of if in case, for example, if the disease has been handed out for a post-mortem examination, where we can able to staple where a surgical scar with staples and a drainage wounds nearby, no issue at all, right? And remember these devices to be left in situ while handovering the disease for further post-mortem examination. And other artifacts need to remember again, if in this case, right, take this wound to be a drainage wound where these tubes have been removed, and how obviously there will be a halt in investigation can more likely to occur in. And these are artifacts and differentiating from drainage wounds. Artifacts that are arising in firearm wounds, and here the most difficult issue wherein difficulty existing in differentiating entry and exit wound. And if it has been without any disturbances, without any manipulations, if those are present, we can obviously differentiate an entry from exit wound. And interpretation or the issue arises when there have been features of decomposition or there have been any attempt to resuscitate in form of cleaning, excision, suturing or surgical extension of the entry wound have been carried out, then the difficulty arises. And first foremost, as a result of decomposition, wherein peeling of skin and other nearby structures, and a loss of hair, and wherein the deposition of gunpowder in form of tattooing and blackening around the skin region, and features of singeing may be absent due to intervention of the maggots and other decompositional changes can manipulate an entrance wound. And secondly, at the hospital, wherein if an entry wound has been manipulated in form of cleaning, excision or suturing, or in an attempt to remove a bullet which has been lodged in, where an entry wound has been used as a surgical extension from where the wound has been extended for a laparotomy or for a procedure, and here it can obviously manipulate or changes the actual features of an entry wound, and an autopsy surgeon may feel difficulty and he can't able to differentiate only in the second case. If we get the treatment papers from the hospital, by which he can identify this is an entry wound, and if in case of a decomposition, only by meticulous examination and other ways to find out are to make out, take an X-ray, and other probable logical conclusions can be made out, and we can able to differentiate. And too much for an undergraduate, right? We stop here exactly. And one such phenomena need to remember is Kennedy's phenomena, and it is arising as a result of manipulations or restrictive measures that have been made in hospital, and wherein difficulty arises in interpreting the entry wound. Arises due to presence of unexpectedly a bullet may be found in a body, and which is been densely encapsulated due to an old injury, and which whereas the actual cause of death may be something else. And you need to remember souvenir bullet, where a bullet has been lodged within a bone, or which have been failed to recover during the previous treatment proceedings, where an old bullet that have been presented will be an artifact and creating unnecessary issues during the course of autopsy. Amount, especially of an entry wound, wherein usage of a trocar for embalming procedure, or otherwise passing a probe to measure or to estimate the depth of the wound, can lead to pseudo tracks or pseudo injury, and difficulty arising. And anthropophagy, and here artifacts due to animals and insect bite, and here in case if these have been present and are more present over in a particular localized area, it suggests these injuries are of antemortem in nature, and there have been a pre-existing injury, and wherein these animals, these insects select those areas and they start harboring from there, and they try to invade the deceased body. And these artifacts as a result of rodent invasion, and the rodents now away the tissues over the localized area, and usually circular or wedge shape, and with an finely serrated margin with irregular edges as a result of nibbling marks, and leaves a long grooves on the part of the area. And in autopsy, right, we don't differentiate, these injuries or we don't mention these injuries have been caused by rodent, these injuries have been caused by cat or dog or some other animals, right? We just only mention these are artifacts, these injuries are caused by animal bites, and we don't specify the name of the animal or the other. And secondly, artifacts arises due to invasion of a dog, and if a dog been a manipulator, and it can lead to a clear-cut injuries, deep impressions of the teeth over on a small area have been seen. Individual puncture marks may resemble like a stab injury, and here it is usually leaves a small or round shaped injuries, and especially over face and neck region, and these injuries may resemble like a knife wound, and especially if it is occurring over a bone. And here these marks produced by these insects, especially ants and roaches, where they leave a dry brown with irregular margins. They are all more commonly seen over a body part which contains maximum moisture, especially like arms, armpits, groin, scrotum and anal region. And these injuries may resemble like an antemortem abrasions, especially like breast burns. And again, these are differential diagnosis, and these are of injuries of postmortem in nature, and they don't show any vital reactions. And if a ant makes an artifacts over the neck region, like an linear ant lesions, like this linear ant lesions, where it may resembles like an ligature abrasion. And for example, if an RMP is being confused and run through your gloved fingers over the part, and if an abrasion has been caused as a result of a ligature, where we can able to make an parchmentation, and underlying neck dissection will show features of ligature injuries. But in case of an artifact that have been arising due to an ant, will show only a superficial injuries over that part, and which are in postmortem in nature, and you don't make out any parchmentation, and there is no any vital reaction also. And if you make a meticulous close observation, we can able to make a nibbling mark over the injuries, and the pattern is of irregular, and by which we can able to differentiate ligature abrasions from linear ant lesions, especially over neck regions and as well as in other body parts. Need to remember 3 points. One is it causes irregular margins injuries, and those injuries of dry and brown, they prefer moisture body parts, and they are differential diagnosis of abrasions, especially of brush abrasions, and there is no any vital reaction. And this how it looks like, right? And here excessive moisture area wherein the folds of the body, especially here it being the posterior aspect of the leg region, and as being preferred, these hands are made a dry brown or an yellowish colored lesions, and you can make out there are irregular, and again it is not of any injury, and there is no any vital reaction also. And the image what you see on your right side, it is of a ligature aberration, right? It is of a ligature aberration. And artifacts as a result of marine animals, and here a fish and others may be the artifactual factors, and here again the leaves and nibbling marks, irregular injuries have been seen, and as a result of marine, wherein due to impact with strong objects, hard objects, wherein it can lead to injuries, especially postmortem injuries over the deceased body. Artifacts in brain and liver, and first and foremost, a regional flattening of cerebral convolutions is often a postmortem artifact, and especially seen over occipital region. And an artifact that if aerial finding like cerebral edema, wherein we get a generalized flattening of cerebral convolutions. And secondly, rough removal of brain may cause artificial damages, especially over pontomedullary region and mid-pons junction. Secondly, artifacts seen over liver region, wherein under surface of liver, when it comes in contact with an transverse colon, it may attain a greenish discoloration due to as a result of putrefaction. Secondly, liver under surface may also be stained with the bile. And artifacts that arises as a result of putrefaction, here large quantities of fluid and blood may mimic like giving an impression of pulmonary edema. Secondly, a deep groove stimulating marks of strangulation. Thirdly, bulging of eyes, protrusion of tongue, discharge of red stained froth from a mouth and a nose may be mistaken for a sign of a throttling, and actually it is a post-mortem purging. putrefactive blisters may be seen, and again it is of nothing significant, and it is as a result of putrefaction, and need not waste your time to discover those blisters. And second, as a result of maggots, again wherein as a result of putrefaction, these maggots invade, and again too much crowding of maggots over in a particular region, it suggests there been a pre-existing antemortem lesion, and these maggots always leaves a small round holes and may stimulate a bullet hole or a firearm injury. And here what you see, the presence of knee gaps, and here it is an actual entry wound caused by a shotgun firearm, a central aperture or a central defect associated with satellite lesions, and these injuries have been caused by a pellet which are about to enter the disease, and almost resembles like a Swiss cheese, right? And this how the holes that have been made by maggots resemble like, and again by differentiating, right, features of blackening, tattooing may be seen, and the track of injury, the entire track of injury may bear presence of carboxyhemoglobin, and if in case of a decomposition, these may be absent, but a bullet may be seen within the a body, and may be as a fragment, and either by taking an X-ray or undergoing deep dissections, we can able to make out, and we can able to differentiate this artifact. And same artifacts as a result of maggots invasion, wherein denuding of skin coverings and other can occur, and it may mimic like there been a mutilation done by an offender, but it is often so, and by correlating with the different parts of a body we can make it so. And again there been a lesion, a injury wherein more crowding of maggots, and they have manipulated the real existing injury. As a result of putrefactive gases, and here owing to the pressure effect of putrefacive gases, the postmortem staining may be displaced in any direction and may stimulate like an antemortem bruises, and we have seen the differentiating, how to differentiate, right, in previous slide, so I need not waste the time again and your data. And secondly, it may mimic like an antemortem obesity, right, due to presence or due to accumulation of putrefactive gases within the body surfaces, and it leads to swelling of lips, nose, eyelids, extremities, distension of chest, and distension of abdomen, and subcutaneous tissue so shows distension, and it leads to features of antemortem obesity, and it is not so. It is individual may be thin built because due to presence of these putrefacive gases, and it resembles like the individual is being obese. Again, artifacts that arises due to presence of these putrefacive gases is postmortem separations, especially the children, wherein these presence of these gases of decomposition can lead to separations of skull sutures, and again it may mimic like here there been some extensive manipulation done by an offender, and it is not so. And the image what you see, it is not done a decomposed, just to show, alright, this may be the real picture wherein for decomposition sets in, there may be separation of sutures. Why does it occur? Because the sutures may not be fused but by the age, so it can't the deliberate distension of gases leads to these ruptures. And again it can occur in adult as well as in case of infant, where bursting of abdomen with the protrusion of abdominal viscera as a result of advanced decomposition can occur. And remember, it should not be mistaken for a trauma. As a result of putrefacive gases, wherein a female genitalia may appear pendulous, and it may stimulate an antemortem sexual assault has occurred. Secondly, on the internal organs, especially gas bubbles in blood and presence of air within them may suggest there could be a finding of air embolism. And before we make a diagnosis of air embolism, a condition we need to exclude is decomposition. Remember. Secondly, an internal lividity can occur as a result of hemolysis, and which may be mistaken for a contusions or some other diseased condition. And thirdly, bluish bowels may resemble like an infected bowel. Putrefaction and relation to poisoning, and here there are some poisoning that can be destroyed as a result of putrefaction. First and foremost is aconite, secondly morphine, thirdly succinylcholine can be destroyed as a result of putrefaction. And as a result of putrefaction, there may be appearance of some poisoning like alcohol, carbon monoxide, cyanide, tomines, and phenols can appear as a result of putrefaction. And artifacts that arises due to embalming procedure, and here passage of trocar may stimulate like in a stab wound or stimulate like in a punctured lacerated wound, and resembles like in a firearm wound. Secondly, as a result of embalming, wherein a homicidal stab wound may be enlarged by the embalmer to approach an artery, or he may pass a trocar through a gunshot wound, and which will obviously modify the dimensions of the wound. Secondly, embalming fluid, infusion of embalming fluid, wherein toxicological analysis of viscera is being compromised, where the estimation can lead to high levels of methanol, anticoagulants, and various other dices have been detected by the sophisticated screening methods. And again, these are again artifacts. Remember, artifacts arises as a result of exhumation, and here first and foremost, wherein if a body which have been buried, a fungus growth is usually seen on the body orifices, eyes, and other open injuries, and on the removal of these fungus, where underlying skin may resemble like in a bruising. Secondly, as a result of a grave diggers can produce postmortem fractures, abrasions, and other lacerated and other types of injuries. And again, these are of postmortem in nature, which will not show any features of any vital reaction. And by differentiating, we can able to exclude. And again, these are examination artifacts. Thirdly, as a result of burial of deceased bodies, wherein one such term comes across is postmortem imbibition, and here arsenic may be imbibed from the surrounding earth, and too early to deal about this, and just remember this is more than sufficient for the time being, wherein keratin tissues may observe arsenic by the external contamination, due to which the concentration of arsenic may be seen in hair and nail, which is much greater than the concentration of arsenic in other bodily fluids, right? For the time being, you just remember this, more than sufficient. And when we discuss regarding toxicology, especially metallic poison, we will discuss what is postmortem imbibition in detail. And toxicological artifacts, and again, this entity can occur in two circumstances between during the course of autopsy and prior to autopsy. And prior to autopsy, a faulty technique in collecting samples, especially blood samples, may give spurious results. Secondly, as a result of decomposition, where decomposition process may produce ethyl alcohol and other higher alcohols, and many bacteria even can produce alcohols, and values of those will be always less than 200 milligram percentage. And decomposition also causes a spurious increase in concentration of carbon monoxide in blood up to 90%, and significant amounts of cyanide can also be present. and these artifacts that occur during the course of autopsy, and first and foremost, uh, artifacts seen on blood vessels and bone, and here presence of air in blood vessels, and here vigorous pulling or rough handling of the soft viscera, especially pulling of dura in the sagittal line, will cause air to enter the blood vessels, especially at the top of brain, and similarly air may enter in the veins of neck during the reflections of skin, and it can lead to spurious diagnosis of air embolism. Secondly, fractures of skull, and here it can occur while removing the skull cap, especially partial swallowing or forceful pull of a skull cap can lead to post-mortem fractures, or otherwise partial sawing, and then using a chisel and hammer to loosen the skull cap can lead to either an extension of a pre-existing antemortem fracture, or otherwise it can lead to post-mortem fractures. Visceral damages, again as a result of rough handling of brain during the removal, may produce tears over midbrain, and rough handling of liver during the removal or during the exciseration of liver outside can lead to production of tears, especially over the diaphragmatic surface, and which may stimulate like an antemortem lacerations. Thirdly, vigorous pulling or with of the neck structures during autopsy may torn, and especially the it can lead intimal tears on the carotid vessels and descending aorta, and again these are artifacts. Neck structures wherein tongue and other neck structures are firmly grasped and pulled upon while removing neck organs. It can lead to fractures of hyoid bone and thyroid cartilage. And how to differentiate? If it had been antemortem, can able to make out a fracture as well as surrounding adjacent structures will show features of contusion. If it been in postmortem, there won't be any significant changes on the adjacent areas. Secondly, while dissecting neck structures, usage of two dissecting forceps can result in damages on the intima part of the carotid artery, and which may resemble like a tear, and again it may mimic like a case of strangulation. Toxicological artifacts that arises during the course of autopsy, wherein contamination of viscera within the stomach contents during autopsy, or putting all organs of the that have been recovered from the autopsy in a single container, or otherwise using in a contaminated instruments or containers can lead to spurious toxicological artifacts, and while estimating some poisons and others, wherein spurious results can occur in. Secondly, faulty technique in collecting samples, faulty storage, and the faulty usage of minimal preservatives can lead to toxicological artifacts. Thank you so much for your patient listening. If there have been any doubts, queries relating to the content of the video, kindly address those issues in comment section below, or otherwise text through any of the social media links provided in description section. Thank you so much.